Welcome back to 4 on Friday, Thomas.
We're back.
Wanted to reemphasize that we're doing Goodwood and Redcar. We have never done Redcar before, but Goodwood, the last time we were there, it was the glorious version of the Goodwood, and our picks went along with that name. We were glorious in our picks at the Glorious Goodwood, so hopefully, minus the Goodwood, minus the glorious, our picks are still glorious.
We're going to certainly try.
Indeed. If you didn't have a chance to last night, this weekend, of course, is some of the biggest racing at Saratoga. We had on with the Travers, the $1.25 million Travers Stakes, where you got some of the best 3-year-olds, if not the best 3-year-olds in the country. And Naira, odds maker, David Aragona was our guest. And as always, David is very knowledgeable. And if there's anybody you can say knows his stuff, I would say David fits into that category at the upper echelon.
He certainly does, and good observations on the way he thinks the public's going to bet, and I don't think I'd want that job.
Yeah, it's got to be impossible. I can't even figure out how to make my own lines, Tom, so I can find value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I give him all the credit in the world because I know I couldn't do it.
Favorite for the next race? Well, I don't know what race is coming next for you, Ethan, but the one that we're going to do next, we're going to get cracking at Goodwood, as I mentioned, and the first race we're going to do at Goodwood for Saturday, the 27th of August, is race number 1. It is the William Hill Prestige Fillies Stakes. Tom, I hope I got the races right. I know we've been off for a while, and occasionally I jumble them up, but we are starting with race 1, right?
We are, and it's a Group 3 race, so 2-year-old fillies.
And as we like to do, we like to take a look at. Well, this one, this I don't really just like this is like the rosary of tracks, and I don't mean to be blasphemous, but just in its shape. When you look at 7 furlongs here, they start here, Tom, and I'm always confused. Do they just come down here, or do they stick to the outside?
That's a good question. It should be the outside.
All right.
From what I've discerned, but I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time.
It would only be the second time. So this race is going to get cracking, Tom, at approximately 8:50 a.m. Eastern time here in the United States. And we should note that according to Racing Post, the going is going to be soft with the stalls in the middle. So soft with stalls in the middle, Thomas, what should we be on the lookout for?
Well, based on the racing today, I didn't see any distinct advantage anywhere. Watched a mile race, and it seemed to be a comfortable middle stalls came out, and then in one of the straightaway races, it was distinctly inside bias for the first 3 finishers. But again, those were only a couple of races, and the biggest thing here, of course, is we're going to have a lot of these horses have not felt that soft ground because it's been so warm there and no rain.
Well, and we'll talk about Redcar a little bit later on, but they're going to have a good track over there. So looking at the pace setup for this first race, Tom, these horses are young, not a lot of experience, but from what I've seen so far, I pegged one that's probably going to go to the lead. That for me was the 5 horse. A whole bunch, probably, let's see, 7 others that are probably going to be in the middle pack, and then 2, the 3 and the 8 that I have pegged as closers. Do you see it any differently?
No, I think, but I think we also, because of these are such lightly raced horses, we may see something completely different come out of it. But who knows with the 7 furlong bunch?
I think that ding just confirms that we are going to see something completely different, right? It's like ding, there you go. That's all right.
Well, there are a number of them. This is the first time they've gone 7 furlongs, so you would think they'd be in a little bit of a bend. For some of them have never been around a bend, so that'll be interesting to see that part of it too.
So in other words, anything can happen with these 2-year-olds, both
I assume that with 2-year-olds
in the States and with babies and in England at Goodwood. All right, so Tom, get 4 on Fridays going with your Goodwood picks with the babies, where anything can happen. So I'm not expecting you to come in soft today, Tom. I'm expecting you to come in with some bombs.
I don't know about that, but we'll try it. We'll start out with number 9. Queen Ali is my top choice. She faced the males last out and ran a nice 3rd in Group 2 at Newmarket. And then prior to that, Royal Ascot, she ran in a Group 3, and you call it a disappointing 4th. and that's mainly, it's still a good run with a big field, but at the back end of the late of the race, she hung left and just sort of didn't make any forward movement. Well, that shows a lot of greenness to me. She won her maiden at York, and he was run off as the favorite. This will be her first try at the 7 furlong distance. My question is she going to like that soft going? And breeding says she should. So we'll see. Number 8, Monty Font is my next choice, I guess. Won its maiden at Foss Lass, going a 7.5 furlong, and went off at 20-1. Won by a length. Came back, ran a third in a Group 3 at Newmarket, and faced some of these horses in here. In that running, it did have some issues, and again, another one that didn't stay straight. And that what happens with that happens. You lose some lengths, and that may have been cost the race. I don't think the distance is definitely not the issue. It's just a matter of getting a good trip, and that's where that'll come important, be the factor in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, liking that soft going. Finally, I took number 1, Bet Me. It's my final choice. She was just a mess in her last race. She broke out. She was sweating, and she just went to the post, and she did okay. She ran 4th. I was surprised because I watched the race, and the commentators were all over it, saying, but I thought it was a good run considering she just looked a mess. She won her maiden by 4 at Goodwood at 6 furlong. She was a joint favorite, and if she looks better in the paddock today and likes that soft going, I think you may want to put her on the top of your ticket.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have, I picked 4 horses. We have the same 3 horses, just in a little bit different order. I have one other in there in the middle. So I'm going to start off with Montes Font, the 8 horse, as my top choice. Last time out, in a Group 3, did finish 3rd, only by a length and a quarter. Did have a little bit of issues in there. So, as you mentioned, Tom, I think if it gets the right trip, probably does win this race. Number 5, the one you left off, probably the favorite when the gates open, Fairy Cross, is going to be my second choice in here. Just missed by 3/4 of a length last time out. It is a horse that seems like it's on the improve. So hopefully you'll see it continue in that. It's really, outside of the debut, not done much wrong. My third choice is your third choice, Bet Me. And that's a great name for a horse, right? Bet Me.
I think it's perfect.
And if you look back, you mentioned that a lot of these horses don't have a trip over a soft course. A lot of them don't have a trip over Goodwood. Well, guess what? Bet Me in its debut had a trip over the Goodwood course, and that day it was listed as soft. And as you mentioned, it won. And not only did it win, it won by 4 lengths. So maybe this is the horse for the soft course. And your top pick is my final choice in here. Queen Ali is my 4th pick. Queen Ali taking a little bit of time off after that last race at Newmarket in July 8th. And I do like the fact that this horse came out and won its debut. So that tells me this is a horse that probably likes to spend a little bit of time in the barn before it comes out and runs its best. Some horses are like that. And it's been a while since we've done this, Thomas. You know what's next.
Oh, we better run that predictor because it always tells us what's not to bet, right?
I don't know. I don't really keep track of it, but I probably
we should
see who's more accurate, the predictor or us. I'm going to write it down this time and see how it goes. And now, whoa, this is going to be a close one. Ivory Madonna. Geez, neither one of us have that horse in there, right?
Oh.
Now, see, a reason I don't write these down is because they don't put the numbers down there. Yeah, Ivory Madonna. It looks
homework.
Yes, it looks like Fairy Cross and then Modest Font, right?
Yeah, that looks like I would go with that.
All right, let's see how this plays out come Saturday, tomorrow. I'm always interested.
Well, all right, would be some nice odds if that one won.
Yeah, 10-1. It looks like right there. That's pretty
morning.
Nice. Yeah.
Well,
race number 2. This one's 7 furlongs. The William Hill Handicap. This one is for 3-year-olds, as we mentioned or showed before on our 7 furlongs. We think they bend to the outside, but we're not 100% sure. They're going to come down here and then run to the finish line on a soft track, leaving in the middle of the race. Middle of the track. This race, Thomas, is going to start at approximately 9:25 p.m. Eastern time. And when I look at the AM, yeah, well, if it ran at night, that'd be a whole different story.
That would be Australia.
It would be, for sure. As I look at the pace setup for this race, Tom, it looks a little bit to me like this one's more evenly spread out. I have the 2, the 6, and the 9 as potential lead horses, the 10 horse chasing right behind them, the 4 and the 7 and the 11 as horses that'll be in the middle of the pack that like the pressure but not necessarily take charge. And then the 1, 3, the 5, and the 8 as your dead closers. So I think it's going to be a pretty – the race shape should be one that every horse pretty much gets a trip that it wants. Do you think it's any different than how I outlined it?
I thought there were about 8 horses that are all going to be together and then a couple trailers. That was the only way I could really look at it. I couldn't pick out 1 or 2 that I could say are going to be on the front end based on their form.
All right. Well, again, the track's going to be soft. So based upon that going, Thomas, who do you like in race number 2, the William Hill Handicap?
I took number 9. Abel Kane is my top choice. Last out, it ran a 3rd in a Class 2 handicap at Newbury. And the race before that, it got crushed at Goodwood, but it was in a big dollar handicap, which you won that race. Won at Foss Lass by 6 lengths in a small field, but really a strong wind. If it runs back to that form, I think it could be right there. And the other reason I like the horse is because it has a good record on the soft going. It has 3 starts, has a win, a 2nd, and a 3rd. Number 5, Orban is my next choice. Has been winning at the Class 2 and Class 3 levels this year, going 8 furlongs and 7 furlongs. Had an okay run at York against Class 2, finished 4th. He was held towards the back, and he lacked any room to really get going. And looking at the race and looking at that, they had a lot of horse, and maybe that this time around he can get a little better trip, and he shouldn't be right there. He does like the soft going, and I think the 7 furlong distance is probably a good one for him, but he only has 1 win at this distance. Finally, I took number 11, London B. Won it last out in a Class 3 company, and it has been doing some placings before that. So it's been running better at lower company, but it's also been running at longer distances. So with the 1 win, it was on a good to firm. So the soft is a bit of a concern, but I want something a little bit of a price, and I threw that one in there.
All right. For me, I'm going to start with number 5, Orban. A horse, as you did mention, does have a win over the Goodwood surface. That was on a good track. As you mentioned, though, the horse does have a little bit of a history on a soft track as well. But I do like the fact that it's run this quirky 7 furlong distance 8 times and finished in the money 6 out of those 8 times. Not really winning, a lot of them, just one of them, but always around it at the end. So I would say this race, I'm not really sold on any one of the horses as like a prohibitive favorite in terms of winning this race. I feel like this is a pretty open card, this particular spot here. So I'm hoping to get some value in here. The second horse for me is number 2, Udilali. That is the second choice. Udilali is a horse that has run at Goodwood a couple of times, catching a win and a 2nd in those 2 times out. And again, taking a look at the horse on a soft track, does have a win on the 7 furlongs at Goodwood on a soft track, but the horse is kind of like a boomer bust type when you're looking at it when it catches that soft surface. It either wins or it gets smoked. So hopefully we're on the win side of that equation today and not the smoke side. Number 7 is the third choice. I'm a Gambler. I mean, if you're a horse racing guy, last race out was Bet Me. This one is I'm a Gambler. These are names that fit with what we're doing here. So if you're a name better, I'm a Gambler is definitely one that you want to look at. Last time out, ran at Goodwood, was the first time it ran at Goodwood, and it made easy work of a field of 9 horses. So maybe it's a horse for the course. Another one that's done okay at the distance, been at the distance 3 times with a win and a 3rd. Again, one of those wins last time out at Goodwood at 7 furlongs. This is a horse that has not caught in the last 10 races a soft surface. So to me, that's the big question mark. If it likes soft, it probably can do pretty well. And the second time in 2 races, Tom, your first pick is my 4th pick, that being Abel Kane, for some of the same reasons that you like it. The horse has done okay at the distance, 5 times out, a win and a third. Horse has been at Goodwood 4 times, collected a couple of seconds in those. But I do look back at this horse, the one lone soft race that it had in the last 10 might have been its best race. At worst, its second race, 7 furlong win at, like, what's that, Leicester? Is that how they pronounce that? Leicester at Leicester. So perhaps it's one that does like that soft course. Let's see what the predictor has to say about this race, which I think is pretty much right. I'm going to be surprised, to be honest with you, if all 4 horses are ones that we don't have. Oh, well, look at this.
I think the favorite will be 4-1 in this race.
So once again, Thomas, we're stuck with a horse that neither one of us picked. Sir Dance-A-Lot as the predictor winner. And then it looks like a dead heat for second between Abel Kane and another horse neither one of us have. I don't even want to bother trying to pronounce that one. You want to give it a go? Rosalind? Yeah, that's easy enough, right? Or
I think I would go with that, Rosalind.
So that's the 3 picks right there.
I'm a Gambler's right there. London Bees right there on the predictor. So they think it's as tight as we think it is. And again, I think 4-1 for the favorite would not be a big surprise.
That's why I think this one is probably the best betting race on of the 3 that we're looking at. But then again, with those 2-year-olds, you just don't know what's going to happen. So that could prove to be a high price winner as well. All right. So the next spot we're going to go is we're going to skip ahead a bunch of races to race number 5. This is the EBF Fillies Restricted Novice Stakes. This one is a class 4. Again, we're dabbling with the babies. We don't know what the 2-year-olds are going to do. The Goodwood 6 furlong start's going to start over here. I got to imagine this time they're going to come around the inside. But just to guess, 50-50 guess, probably got it wrong.
6 is the straightaway.
Oh, 6. Oh, this is a mile 6. So they're not going to turn on anything, are they?
No, there's no turns. Just up and down.
Just straight. Yes. Yeah. I saw the 6 over here.
And we'll be on the stand side for the gates. So generally we'll favor those inside because these 2-year-olds and the rail, I think, helps them in these kind of races. It gives them a guide and sometimes keeps them their mind on what their business rather than being stuck in the middle someplace and running like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, looking for the competitors around them all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So I've seen a few races at Goodwood where that rail has come into play and been a good thing.
So this one's going to start at 11:10 a.m., not p.m., Richard, a.m. Eastern. So make sure you set your clocks to that for 6 furlongs. This one has some first-time starters in it, Tom, a couple of them, the 5 and the 7. Looking at the pace here of the horses that have run so far, I have all but one of them being either pressuring for the lead or trying to get to the lead, and only the one horse, which was not competitive at all. Well, it's a first-time starter as well, right? The one horse.
Yeah.
So 3 first-time starters. So what do you got going here? Any first-time starters make your list?
I did. I took number 6, Lunarscape, as my top choice. First-timer for our trainer who's winning at a 26% rate this season with 2-year-olds. Has 8 winners from 19 starts and 6 placings. And the the dollar bet, you get 19 back. That's not bad. In the last 14 days, she's been winning at a 21% rate. So based on those numbers, I would say she's sending 2-year-olds to the track that are ready to win. And, my biggest issue, and I looked a little at the breeding, and the breeding says may want a little longer distance.
Maybe they have that Danny Almeida.
Maybe a little short for this horse.
Maybe they have those Danny Almeida. That was his last name, birth certificates. Remember him from the Little League World Series? The kid who was like 12 years older than everybody else. Yeah. Anyway.
But, based on her numbers, you got to put her right there. And for $1 bet, you get 19 back. That's not a bad return.
You only have to be right 1 out of 19 times.
Yeah, exactly. Number 2, Keep Bidding is my next choice. This is the most experienced 2-year-old in the field with 3 starts in 2 seconds. Last run was on the all-weather and lost by half a length. The other 2 runs were on the turf and looked okay. Based on its running, we're talking about who's going to be near the front. I think this one is definitely going to be on the lead. And I would be very surprised if it isn't. And finally, I'm going to take number 3, Lavender Blue, as my final choice. Okay, first time around, it was a novice race. It finished third. It went off at 22-1. Obviously, not really well thought of, but this one looks, based on that, and some of the comment I read says it was short on condition and no match for the winner. Well, that tells me maybe it's only running at 80%, not at 100% yet. 2-year-old, yep, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a race like this with unraced horses, all she's got to do is show a bit of form and a little bit, I think she goes forward here.
So strangely, we have the same 3 horses, just in a slightly different order. I don't know what happened in Saratoga, if there was some osmosis or what when we were staying in that apartment together. This is unusual, but for me, I'm going to start with the 2-horse, Keep Bidding. Of the horses in this field that do have experience, the only thing that kind of concerned me a little bit is its best race was on all weather last time out. The 2 races before that were on turf. Decent races, but still pretty far back from the winner on both. I like Lavender Beauty. This one did run turf in its debut. I do expect Lavender Beauty to step forward in its second start off in its career. If that's the case, maybe it's better than the 2-horse, again, who didn't fare as well on turf as it did on all weather. I also like Lunarscape. Actually, Lunarscape I have in between the 2, the 6-horse, as my second choice, really. Do like the fact that you have William Buick here on the 6-horse, Lunarscape, teaming up with, I don't know who Eve Houghton is, but I did like that debut race that was on a soft track. It was the only horse in this field that's gotten some chance to run on a soft track outside of training. So the footing shouldn't be unusual for that horse. And maybe the others don't like it, and it's accustomed to it. And then finally, my last race is number 5, Urban Jungle. Jim Crowley, Tom Ward, 2 names that I'm familiar with. 10-1 morning line on a first-time starter. Seems to be a fair morning line to me. They don't post any numbers in terms of what like the workouts are like for these horses. So just a flat out guess, folks, based upon the combination of the jockey and the trainer there. All right. I don't know. I think the predictor here is going to be pretty predictable because it can really only work off of the horses that have got some experience if it's an algorithm. And I guess my guess is going to be it's going to go 2-3-6 or 2-6-3. Let's see. Oh, it's going to be, look, this one's not even going to be close. Keep Bidding. We don't. Okay, that's the 2-horse. That's Phoenix Glow. Neither one of us have that one, Tom.
Mm-mm.
All right, so Keep Bidding looks like the easy winner. Then Phoenix Glow, and then everybody else is just going to be running behind. They're not even close. Goodwood, maybe we should have put Goodwood Vision in there since that's the name of the track, right? So it's actually I don't know. It's Lavender Beauty looks like the 3rd choice there.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, so let's see how we fare compared to the predictor. This is going to be a lot of fun for me because I've never kept track of this before. Before we move on to Redcar, Tom, today in Major League Baseball, the picks with the professor. This guy has just been straight out on fire. Get the fire extinguishers because this dude is burning up the major leagues. Yesterday gave us a parlay with the Phillies and the Mets. Both won pretty much easily. I think the combined score was like 7-1 between the 2 teams. So those games weren't close at all. Today, the professor sticking with the New York Mets, but he's teaming them up with the Chicago White Sox. He's getting a little full of himself, I feel like, going with parlays, Tom. But plus 114, you got to love a man who's confident. Professor Sides is confident. Going with the Mets and the White Sox. So far in his history, 61 wins, 36 losses, 2 pushes, up almost 21 units for a return of almost 18%. The play of the days, 40 wins, 20 losses for a 21 almost or a 28% ROI. Just smoking. You can get a link to the professor's picks for today and every day right here in the description on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And while you're here, please give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, follow us on our social sites. Our Swiss Army Sean will keep you up to speed with everything that's going on around here now that we're back to work on Foreign Fridays, Tom. I know you like baseball, but do you ever bet on baseball?
No, I do not.
No. Maybe you should start. Follow the professor.
I can lose on slow horses.
Yes, and one addiction is enough, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think I'll
we don't
stick
need
with the horses.
we don't need to have a second vice for sure. All right,
No.
so Redcar, Thomas, where's Redcar in the country?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. All right, so
Yeah, and this is a unique track in terms of this is the only true flat mile, straight mile. So where we've been looking at tracks that go up and down and whatever, this one does not. This is a very unique, and it's also the longer races. Of course, it's even more unique. But our focus is mainly on those short ones.
Well, this looks like to me, Tom, that tool that you get to take the SIM card out of your iPhone. That's what this track looks like to me. And it looks to me like I mean, it could be just because of the images. I have to admit, I've never seen a Redcar race before. But are these turns as tight as they look?
They're pretty tight, yeah.
All right, so I imagine that you better have a horse that likes to take tight turns, as we were told by Javier Castellano, that this horse has got to be, they got to like those tight turns, because if they don't like those tight turns, they might not do that well. The going here, Tom, is expected to be good to firm. So apparently in this part, Yorkshire of the country, still sunny and warm. From your experience at these races, what should one look for?
This tends to favor inside draws, even though they'll start in the center. But again, the going will have a lot to play on that. We don't have any judge on, because there's no races today or anything or before, on where exactly if there's going to be any bias. But my feeling in the past has been center to more stand side has been where I've seen, but yet the numbers suggest it's on the inside. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Should also point out that this is today, that racing day, their event is Gins and Gents Day at the track. So if you're going to, this is a little later in the day, these races, so you may want to break out the gin.
The gin, so you won't be quite so gentlemanly, maybe. Well, you know what they say, what, do people sin on gin?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point. All right, so the first race is 6 furlongs, Thomas. So it's going to start here and go. So they run backwards here, huh, apparently.
No, this is our way. Yeah, this is counterclockwise.
But our way, but their way, it's backwards.
Yeah.
So they're running.
Well, they're running straight, so I don't know if you want to call that.
Man, but most of the time they're running from right to left. Here they're going to run from left to right. 6 furlongs here. They're going to go straight to the stop sign here. As you mentioned, this one's going to start a little bit later. So this one will be at 11:41 a.m. Eastern. Race number 2 is where we're starting. So right after the last race at Goodwood, the first race for us will kick off at Redcar, Thomas. This is another one of these races with a bunch of 2-year-olds in here. You got one that's a first-time starter. I think just about anything can happen in this race as well. So what do you think is going to happen?
I took number 2. Indian Falcon is my top choice.
It looks like number 3 to me.
Number 3. Oh, okay, I got that one wrong. Let me fix my notes. So what I looked at the trainer's numbers. He's got 14 winners from 46 starters, and the 2-year-olds, his rate of win is 16%, and the number positive is $21. So that's pretty good. His top 2-year-old right now is the Platinum Queen, who just ran against the older horses and lost to Highfield Princess. She ran second in the Nunthorpe, and that's a race that's very unique because it's open to 2-year-olds. Highfield Princess is 4. Her breeding suggests that she should like this, and why not start her here? And I think it's could be a good spot. And you make it a little bit of a price
for the Indian Falcon.
Yeah. So number 1, Tarantino is my next choice, the only winner in this race, and did it at Redcar, going 7 furlongs. So, went off at 11-1, went out to the front and didn't look back. So, and then finally, I'm going to take 4, Kiev the Bread, 2 starts, and only one of them was any good. It was a 4th, but he was behind by 13 plus lengths. So last start was nothing special, 22 lengths behind. My feeling was I couldn't come up with another horse, so I picked him.
Well, that's as good reason as any. Well, this is Tom being Tom. I like the 40-1 angle in there, Tom. Right?
Why
So,
not?
yeah, absolutely. I love it when Tom is Tom. All right. So for me, I don't know. I hate to do this too, because this horse is going to be the heavy favorite, and you got 2-year-olds, and anything can happen. But this horse is the only one that has a race, won last time pretty easily. The only thing that's a little bit of concern to me is the bettors really never backed him in either race. Also carrying the most weight by about 5 pounds. So I think that's going to be a detriment to the one horse as well. It'll be interesting to see how he carries all that extra weight. The next horse for me is number 8. That is Optician. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is another horse that's had some opportunities to get out of the barn and run. It's going to be making its 3rd start. Last time out, did run at Redcar. Was not that far behind before it kind of weakened at the end of its race. I think in the 3rd start, some of that weakening will disappear. The horse should be more fit and firm and ready to run in race number 3. I'm going to go with a first-time starter next time around. Number 14, Crime Fiction. As I mentioned with the first horse there, carrying a lot of extra weight. Well, this one's only carrying 123 pounds, which is about 12 pounds lighter than the higher-ranked horses. Yeah. And at 6-1 morning line, obviously the folks that set the morning line must think something of this horse. Otherwise, they wouldn't have set the line that low. Kind of crept up a little bit. It looks like to 9-1, but still. And then finally, number 16 is my 4th and final choice. The 16th carrying only 121 pounds. So it's carrying the least amount of weight in this field. I don't know to what degree that helps. Again, you don't get to see any of the workouts, but the fact that the horse is carrying something like 14 pounds less than the favorite, that's a lot of pounds, Tom. What is that? Approximately 3 lengths, correct?
Yes. If they equated to 5 lengths, 5 pounds is a half a length.
Mm. So that would be about 5 pounds, 15 pounds. So almost 1.5 lengths that this horse should be making up, just because it's carrying a lot less weight than everybody else. We'll see how that plays out, but it's a lot of guesswork in the back half of that race, Tom, because outside of the favorite, nobody else has really run that well in any of the races.
Or not run at all.
Yeah, which makes it even more interesting.
But it's interesting, but it's got a group of field of 16. So they're not running for a ton of money, but it's definitely a big field. And I really think this is a classic 2-year-old race of anything can happen, and probably will.
And you can see too, that even like the pro punters over there, 7 tips for Tarantino and just 1 tip for Hawaii, who neither one of us have.
No.
But outside of that, there's not a tip to be found. So you have to come to Horse Racing Radar if you want to get a tip outside of the 2 top picks. And the predictor says it's going to say that one horse wins by 100. And wow, I'm kind of shocked. It says that Tarantino is the top choice, followed by, that's not surprising, but it doesn't look like they think he's going to win by all that much. Over Indian Falcon, that was Tom's pick as well. And then for 3rd, Hawaii. So, yeah, it looks to me like that's pretty formful with the predictor right there, Tom, because they don't know what to expect either. Next race on the card for you and I is race number 3. This race is supposed to go off at approximately, let me look it up, at approximately 12:15 p.m. Eastern. This one is 7 furlongs. Again, you mentioned, Tom, that they like to go straight. They're going to go straight the right way for the U.S., the wrong way in England. So at this particular spot, Tom, you do get a little bit of some experience with these horses. I look at this race, I see the 1 horse as probably the Sight Dior, as the one that's likely to get to the lead. The 2 and the 6 pressuring, the 5 horse being a closer, the 4 being a first-time starter, and the 3 horse, I don't know what it did in its debut run, but the last 2 runs for that matter, neither one has been close. Do you see it breaking down any other way in terms of pace makeup?
No, I don't. It's just one of those races where it's a small field, and I think it's a jockey's race personally. There'll be a big favorite in here.
Yeah, the Sight the Order is going to be the heavy number right there. Yeah. All right, Tom. So do you think somebody beats Sight the Order, or are you going to go with the 8-13? All right, yeah, good.
I do. I like number 2, Salite. My
Uh-huh.
top choice. Won last time out by a whisker in a novice race. Like its other race, has been racing a bit green in its races. It's the trainer's not done great. He's only hitting at a 5% rate with his 2-year-olds, but this one's winning. She's got
That's just 5% right there. That
yeah,
one.
exactly.
Mhm.
And she's got experience, and she likes to run towards the front, and I kind of like her chances in here.
Mhm.
That flat mile. 4 is my next choice, Baudelaise. Trainers has 2 winners from 9 starters as 2-year-olds, and they're paying over $15. So that's pretty good. Again, another one is sending out horses that appear to be ready to go. The breeding is nothing special, but this is a cheap race. Let's be honest, these are horses that didn't sell for sold for about 10,000 pounds. So we're not talking about expensive horses, relatively speaking. I did the one I threw in there, Sight d'Or, 2 runs. It's maiden in a short field at 7 at Brighton. Brighton's one of those quirky tracks in which goes downhill and uphill and around, and it's a beautiful location because you're right on the water. But you do well there, you may not do so well on a flat mile. And this being 7 furlongs, but my point being is it's a flat track.
Mhm.
And so that's my concern with that one. Its last race, it was 4th out of 5. It ran towards the front and then had 0 left. It is dropping in class. That was a listed race. This is your class 5. Definitely will be the favorite.
Mhm.
But I think it's beatable.
Well, I agree with you, Tom. Again, same. So we got the same 3 horses, just in different order again. But we do start off with the same one, Selite, the 2-horse. Last time out on a good surface, 6 furlongs, the horse did win by 3/4 of a length, and it seemed like the longer the races went, the better the horse has fared. I think the extra distance actually helps Selite today. I'm going to go with the 1 horse as my second choice, trying to beat the favorite here. Sight d'Or. That first race was at 7 furlongs on the good track. Easy W for that horse. Came back out next time around. Is dropping in class, as you mentioned. This one's getting 8 tips, Thomas. I don't think anybody else is getting any tips. So they're really going heavy over there on the favorites. Don't really need to pay anybody for a tip if that's what they're going to give you, right? Number 4.
I would say no.
Yeah, I would say no too. Number 4, Baudelaise is a first-time starter, Thomas, against a bunch of other horses in this field that really haven't done anything. So this one hasn't done anything to make you bet for it or bet against it. But I'm basically betting against all the other horses that really didn't show anything so far. And then finally, the last horse for me is Gracious Anna, the 6 horse in here, who did run twice before. Last time out at Newcastle on the all-weather track. Prior to that, did get a good run on the turf course. Hopefully, the 3rd time across the board, this horse does pretty well. The one thing that did catch my attention with Gracious Anna is that the horse did get some backing from the bettors in both races, going off at 7.5 to 1 and 6 to 1. This time around, it's up to 18 to 1. So maybe it doesn't win. This is the Tom horse win. Nah, probably not. But maybe comes in to clean up the gimmicks, and a horse that was backed that the bettors are backing off of. A lot of times I've seen those horses then come to life when the bettors decide they're not with that horse anymore. If that's the case, we can get some good value on Gracious Anna. And the predictor says it's going to say, oh, man, look at that. It's going to say this one's not even close. Sight d'Or is the only one even in the screen, Tom.
Yep.
And then Baudelaise, the second time, the first-time starter. So apparently they are able to put the first-time starters in there. And then it looks like Gracious Anna and Euphoria as the next picks in there. They're going to dead heat for 3rd, which means for your swinger bets, if you put both of them in there, you'll get paid twice, right, Tom?
Absolutely.
All right. Final shot of the day, Tom, is the 1 mile flat race that you mentioned. 1 mile, going to start back here. They're going to truck all the way down the track here, Tom. So do you want to be on the front in this sort of thing? Do you want to be in the middle? Do you want to be in the back? From your Redcar experience, what's the running style that fits a mile straight one anyway?
They've been, for me, the ones I've liked so far that have won for me have tucked in behind the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And got maybe a little drafting going on, and then the jockey looks for a place to go, and then takes off. And
So,
I've had a couple winners like that there, so I'm going to play the horses that way.
so when you look at the pace setup, then the 4 and the 7 look to me like they're the ones that are probably going to get to the lead.
Yeah.
And then I have a fistful of them, maybe more than a fistful of them, that should do exactly what you said. Pack in behind the leaders there, look for an opening and try to pounce late. And then I have a couple of them that like to close. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I think but I don't think the dawdlers will be able to do much here. I think you're going to have to be within that first group to have any chance to win here.
All right. So let's see who you think is going to win, Tom.
I took number 2, Diamond on the Hill, as my top choice.
Mm-hmm.
Won at Redcar 2 starts back, going a mile in a class 4. Dropped to the class 5 last out and ran second. It was a 6-day turnaround. So, and they're coming right back here to run at this level again on 15 days. With this race being a qualifier for the straight mile series, this horse is actually qualified already. So they're putting it in there. But with that win, it gets penalized with weight. So it's, but the thing I really like is that its 2 wins are in this course. So that's why I had to put it on top.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Pansanella is my next choice, I think. Drops from class 4 race, running 3rd twice, and also did okay in class 3 races. Both of them that race, they only lost by half a length and a length and a quarter. Negative really with this horse for me is that its Redcar record is not good. But it gets Daniel Nunhope is the jockey, and he's running at about 18% this year. And I think with the drop, and I think he's got a shot and decent jockey up.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I took number 4, Casio, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done much in the last 6 races, but gets some class relief here. It's been running in much better company, being in class 2 and class 3 races. It's one at this level, but it was a long time ago. I don't know. It's just one of those horses where I'm going to take a chance on a price because maybe the drop is what it needs to figure out what it should be doing on the racetrack instead of what it's been doing.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to start over here with Star Shield, and this is again 18-1. Tom, I'm acting more like Tom today than Tom. Star Shield, you have a horse that it's run at Redcar. It's done so 6 times, and every single one of those times it's finished in the money with a win, 3 seconds, and a couple of thirds. So clearly, as you mentioned before, the one horse that ran at Brighton and coming now to a track that doesn't have that undulations and it is flat, Star Shield has shown that it absolutely loves that flat track. So I'm happy to see that. I don't know, 1 out of 6 winners, but just that consistent effort and the consistent production at Redcar tells me that this is a horse you have to have in your picks. 18-1 seems like good value. To me, whether it wins or not, it's the one that I would build my tickets around because of that ability to finish in the money at Redcar. My second choice is your first choice, which is Diamond on the Hill. I like Diamond on the Hill. As you mentioned, Tom, the horse has gotten out at Redcar a couple of times, 4 times, and brought home the top prize in 2 of those races. Last time out, a mile on the good surface, finished second by a head. The time before that, 1 mile at Redcar, was the winner at a mile. So clearly likes the distance, at least lately. Run there 5 times, a second, a third, and a win, with the second and the win coming in the last 2 races. And that second is by a head, so it could be 2 wins at a mile in a row. My third choice is number 9. That is William Creek. Let's figure out why I like William Creek, Tom, because I don't write my notes down. I probably really should. But if you look at William Creek, this horse has finished no worse than 4th in its 6 starts. And that fourth was a pretty awful race, but that was on an all-weather track. Put this horse on the turf 4 times. It has a win, second by a nose, a second by about 5 lengths, and a third by only 1 3/4 lengths. So in those 4 turf goes, every one of them were pretty solid efforts. I expect to see another solid effort out of William Creek today. And then finally, the next horse for me is number 10, Under Fox. Under Fox has been at this distance 7 times. He's won none of them, but did come home second twice and third 3 times. So 5 out of 7, the horse cleaned up either the exacta or the trifecta. This is the proverbial Tom horse. Gonna win? Probably not. But in the money, you got to put it in the ticket at this distance because of that high percentage hit rate at the mile. Let's see if we're going to get any tips from the predictor on who's going to win this spot, Tom. Ooh, this is going to be a close one at the wire. It looks like Star Shield, the 6 horse, is going to be your winner, Thomas. Followed by, what do you think, Pisanello or
I'm going to go Diamond on the Hill.
Yeah, it almost looks like Diamond on the Hill beat Star Shield in that picture, no?
Yeah, it's just over the line a little bit because of the angle, I think.
And then Pisanello. So that's the 3 horses right there for the predictor. Now you've gotten 3 picks in one show from 2 people. You get the predictor's picks, you get Tom's picks, you get my picks. Speaking of picks, you will be able to catch the Eddie C and Chris P show. It was an hour long, so
I think you should give up on the last initial.
You just go with the first.
Go with Eddie and Chris.
Apparently, they couldn't put it on our channel because it was 75 minutes long, and you can only upload something for an hour. I don't know exactly. So, make sure you look over at Spot Sheets on Twitter. So it's at Spot Sheets. That's where you'll find their entire breakdown of, I think, the entire card for tomorrow, the Travers card, using their Spot Plays graphics. So hopefully you'll garner some great insights from Chris and Eddie. Lack of last initials there. Terry and I will be back Monday morning for Parks, Tuesday for Colonial Downs. On Wednesday, we'll have a new guest host with me. That'll be Charles. This is Charles Trent, the gentleman who does the Q&A with Charles, will join me on Wednesdays and Thursdays going forward because Terry has some other endeavors that he's got to take care of. And I think that kind of wraps it up. Tom, any final thoughts before we get up and out of here and get looking forward to some good English racing tomorrow?
Well, it's certainly going to be entertaining, I think, because the field sizes are okay, but those 2-year-olds will drive you crazy, and we probably will see some prices because and then the last race in that mile qualifier race, again, another one, 3-1, I think is going to be your favorite. It looks pretty wide open on paper. There's just some opportunities there to make a few bucks.
Absolutely, 100% for sure. And we'll try to make a few dollars next week at Doncaster, did you say?
Probably Doncaster, and we may go down under too, because the season in Australia has started. It's spring down there, and the Group 1s are popping up, and we do like to watch those good races, and we got to see one of them come up to Royal Ascot and win, so there may be another one lurking down there. And then the reverse of it is we may see some from England and France head down for that Melbourne Cup. So we want to, in November, that's November 1st, and we definitely want to bet that race because that's a small field of only 24 horses.
Only 24. And Tom, of course, and myself will get together as we close in on the Breeders' Cup for our international look at the international horses that will dot the Breeders' Cup cards, especially the turf races. This year, we promise you, we won't leave out
the better do the dirt ones too, because the dirt one guy in the distaff who won the distaff.
Yes, we won't leave out the Japanese horses this year, for sure. And so we'll be looking forward to covering all that, of course, in the next couple of months. We're looking forward to doing all that, to being back, to good health, Tom, and no matter what else that you do on this Friday. Tomorrow, when you get up in the morning and you take a look at some of these English races, no matter what you do, Tom, we hope that it certainly ends up in only one destination, and that destination is
a winner's circle.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Again, if you like what you saw, subscribe, thumbs up, tell your friends about us. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.